Hey guys, so today I want to talk a little bit about face shapes and how that relates to our hair. So like when we want to choose a new hairstyle or just styling our hair generally, how our face shape affects that. So today I want to talk a bit about why face shape matters and why we consider it when we're styling or cutting our hair. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to recognise your own face shape, and then I'm going to go through some of the common face shapes and talk about hairstyles which suit those face shapes in the kind of traditional sense, and also hairstyles which will just enhance certain face shapes which may not be the sort of traditional. Because you see, a lot of people frame it as, oh, you have like a round face shape, for example, so you should get this or you shouldn't get that. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's more a case of what you want to enhance. Some people really want to enhance a face shape which isn't the general standard, so I don't want to frame it as do and don't. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Hopefully this will help you choose a hairstyle if you're looking to restyle your hair, or if you just style your hair daily, you know, and you just find it a bit of a struggle. Hopefully this will help you with styling your hair every day. Okay, so first of all, let's talk a bit about why we care about face shape. So the general rule is that everyone wants to have a face which is perfect symmetrical oval. Now, like 99.9% of us don't have that. So what we do is we use our hair to create an optical illusion to give the impression that we have an oval face shape. So if we've got a face that's too round, we use our hair to kind of slim it down. If we've got a face that's too long, we use our hair to narrow it down. And this is essentially the concept, and it's all about optical illusions. Now, I'm going to show you a simple example to try and do that using basic shapes. It's a very simple example, but hopefully this can demonstrate it a little bit more. So here we have a person with a very round face, and here we are with the same person with a very round haircut. And this is the same round face, but this person has a very square haircut. And we can see how that's changed it. So if we put them side by side, we can now see how the face shape looks slimmer with the squarer haircut. And these are very basic shapes, but it's just to give you a simple idea. And so from that example, although it is incredibly simple, it's just a way to demonstrate simply how hair can affect face shapes just through the optical illusion idea. So yeah, let's talk about how to identify your own face shape. Okay, so now we want to try and find our own face shape. Before we worry about shape, I want you to have a look in the mirror and just have a look at your face and just see which features you like about it and which you kind of would prefer to kind of maybe sort of disguise a little bit. So forget shape and just look. What about your brows? Things like your brows, your temples, your cheekbones, your jaw, and see if they're features that you like and you want to enhance, or if they're features that perhaps you want to kind of downplay a little bit more. Now this is kind of the first step, and then you get the hang of you get to see what those features are that you like about your face and which you don't. And then you can kind of move on to face shape from there, and what you want to do. So let's just use the example that you want to get an oval face. One way of finding your face shape, I mean, apart from just looking and observing, which would be the obvious way, just have a look and just see how you think your face shape matches. Is it an oval? Is it square? Is it long? Is it sort of simplify it down. Is it longer than it is wide? Is it wider than it is long? And then you can kind of gradually push that into a shape. One way of doing this, which is kind of maybe a little bit extreme, but it can help. If you want to go for the oval shape, is to get like a water soluble marker, draw an oval on the mirror, line your face up with it, and then you can see which features of your face actually extend or shrink inside of that shape, and you can get an idea of where you need to compress or enlarge, for example, and that will help you to find your face shape. What you really want to look at is say the areas around your temple, your brow, your cheekbones and your jawline. They're the sort of major features which change your face shape. And also one sort of point to make is not to go too crazy. Some people talk about dodecahedral foreheads and not quite that extreme, but they have face shapes that diamond, heart, triangle, blah blah blah. We can basically simplify it down to just square, round, triangle, or long. And these are the 4 face shapes that are really, outside of that, anything outside of that is just a mutation of those 4. Okay, so now we've been looking at our face for a while. We've got an idea of the shape we've got and what perhaps features that we want to accentuate or play down. So now we want to talk about sort of what hairstyles will suit our face shape. So first of all, I want to talk about a heart or a triangle face shape. Now this is a face shape which is characterised generally by sort of wider temples and quite a narrow jaw. Now again here I'm going to talk about if we want to create a kind of oval face shape, so this is a good kind of, a lot of people would frame this as do's and don'ts, and this is what I was saying earlier. I don't really want to do that. So first of all, I'll talk about a little bit about if we want to create an oval face shape, or more of an oval face shape, or reduce that triangular shape, some things we can do. Okay, so for first of all, if we're talking about fringes or bangs, you don't really want to go for blunt cut fringes. You really want to go for kind of sweepy fringes, very kind of loose and very sort of gentle fringes, sort of, yeah, a kind of a more sweepy side part, something like that. You want to add weight now around your jawline because you want to add width in that area. So by doing that, we're talking about haircuts which sort of fall below the jawline or around the jawline. Generally that would maybe feather around, so we're talking like layers. So we could have like a kind of long layered bob, or anything basically below the jawline to your shoulders is going to work. You can sort of go for like beveling outwards. Now that's going to add weight around that area. Yeah, but it's more or less anything which will add volume around this kind of area of the face. So yeah, where we're thinking like forward graduations and layering, they're both going to work very well. And say anything kind of quite long is going to work quite well. Things which aren't going to work quite so well, or let's say, I don't want to say they're not going to work and you shouldn't do it, but things that are going to very much accentuate that triangular face shape, and that can really work for some people, but it's a very bold style. We're talking blunt fringes, because all that's going to do is create more of a line across this area, across your temples. It's going to widen your temple area. It's going to create a very geometric shape between your visible face. So that's a very strong look. Probably most people are not going to feel that comfortable with doing that. It's a very good look and it can look fantastic. You see it, for example, in catwalks and things like that. A lot of like avant-garde styles are going to kind of try and accentuate that geometric shape. But as a day-to-day style, a bit more commercial, I would say probably most people are not going to go for that. But let's say, I don't want to say it doesn't work, because it does, but it's not really commercial. So yeah, sort of try and avoid sort of blunt fringes. These are not really going to do your shape any favours in terms of trying to round it or fill it out. Again, short styles as well. So short styles are just going to accentuate that jawline, because if you have your hair finishing at your jawline, for example, like a bob, it pulls attention to your jawline, so it's going to pull attention to your narrow jaw. If you think a bob, it has a weight generally around the kind of temple area, tapering down to the jaw. It's a very triangular shape in itself, so it's just going to accentuate that triangular look. So probably kind of shorter styles, anything sort of jaw upwards, and blunt fringes. They work and they can be fantastic, but they're a very strong look, and probably if you're going for a more oval shape, that's not really what you want to be looking at. So if you're going for a more oval shape, think more about side sweeping fringes and longer styles. Perhaps a bit of layering around kind of this area to kind of widen up this whole kind of section of your face. Okay, so the next face shape we're going to look at is round. Now, characteristics of a round face shape are kind of a length that's kind of equal to its width, roughly. Possibly a strong jawline, but it's generally all the features are not so pronounced. It's more of a kind of, well, it's a round shape. So yeah, you don't have sort of like very strong cheekbones or very strong temple or very strong jaw. It's more that it's all a kind of a uniform kind of shape. Now, styles for this, you're thinking like long styles really, but if you're thinking long, you really want to keep them tight as well, so you don't really want to go for sort of texture and curls. So like perms are kind of like only going to add width to your head. What the idea which we're trying to do, if we're going for an oval shape again, is to narrow the shape down. So by doing that, we want to basically create a very sleek look on the head. So you don't want to try and avoid texture really, and go for, let's say, longer styles, very sleek styles. As parting wise, you want to sort of aim for a centre parting, as that will kind of narrow the face down, as we saw in our kind of earlier very crude example. Yeah, so sort of longer sleek styles, perhaps centre parting, things like that. You don't really want to be going for bangs. So again, now we're going to talk about what we don't really want to be doing if we're trying to make an oval shape, is kind of fringes or bangs can be quite difficult, because any fringe or bang is likely to widen that shape or accentuate that shape. Short styles can work, absolutely, on smaller round faces. Pixies can look really great, like pixie cuts can look really great. And essentially, if you're going to go for a fringe, the best thing you can probably go for is a kind of side swept fringe. However, a side parting is going to widen the face immediately. So if you're going to go for a side swept fringe, you kind of need to try and create a kind of non-parted style, a style that will just kind of graduate into the fringe, rather than be a strong parting and then a strong fringe. You kind of want the fringe to just kind of fall into position from your hair. So you see that in kind of a lot of like kind of longer bobs and things like that. We see it on any haircut, but often you see it with kind of longer bobs or kind of longer hair, where the fringe just kind of like flows from the top and graduates down to the side, and you've got that kind of big side sweep fringe, but there's no kind of bang kind of direct parting there, because say as soon as you had that parting, you're going to be adding width to your face, so that's only going to accentuate the roundness. So probably not want to go for that. So just kind of recap there, kind of like longer sleek styles, centre partings, pixie cuts on smaller round faces can look great, and things to avoid would be any kind of bang or fringe really. Side swept you can get away with, but try not to give it too much for strong parting. Side partings are kind of a no-no if you're going for an oval shape. And that's kind of round faces. So there's some ideas for round faces. So the next kind of face shape I want to talk about is square. With square face shapes, you tend to have quite strong forehead and quite a strong jawline. And the key here is to get it more oval, is to kind of lose that angular effect and try and kind of soften the face shape. So the things we can do to make it more oval is sort of full graduation, a lot so graduation in the front, just to kind of soften that look. Texture like curls, perms, or just waves, things like that, which will just help to soften it, is going to work. Don't really want to be going with blunt fringes again. It's kind of similar to the triangle shape, where this is, again, it's a very geometric shape, so by adding more geometric shapes to it, it's only going to enhance that angular vibe. So you kind of, in terms of fringes, we kind of want sweepy fringes again, like soft sweeping fringes, and that will help to break up that kind of angular look again by adding kind of softness to the shapes. And shorter looks again are going to be, I think, where sometimes you can get away with kind of very angular bobs and blunt fringes with a triangle face. I think they can look quite avant-garde. I think with square haircuts, that kind of loses that a little bit, because it's too strong a shape. And the angularness of a geometric bob, for example, is a little bit. too harsh. So with this kind of, I think that works not so well. So really we want to go for soft shapes. That's key with the kind of square face, is softer shapes. So kind of like long styles, softer, adding texture, adding movement to the hair with like layering, and yeah, soft fringes, soft sweeping fringes and such like that. That's going to really help. Centre partings not so well. Side partings can work, although be careful again, because we don't want to accentuate any width at the forehead really. But they can work, and say just try and keep everything sort of soft. That's the kind of key with this one, is just to try and soften those edges. So when you're looking at hairstyles, think about kind of movement, texture, and a kind of more flowing shape, flowing cuts. Things like long bobs can really work, and long kind of textured cuts, such things like that. That's really kind of to get more oval shape. That's kind of the road you want to be looking down. Okay, and the last shape I want to look at is long, which is a little bit of an outlier. It's not a geometric shape, but it's the kind of last the last kind of main face shape. So we're going to look at long. Now, again, this is similar to square. You want to have soft styles, work really well, like mid-length to long, very textured, very big waves. They're going to work like really well, because what we want to try and do is kind of add width to the side of the head here. So yeah, sort of big kind of waves, very texture, very much, a lot of movement. That's going to work really well, say mid-length to long. If you do want to go shorter, think of bobs that kind of tuck under the jaw, and sort of finish around this kind of area, that tuck in a little bit tighter. But make sure you keep that width to the sides of the heads. That can work really well again, because essentially we're just trying to widen the face a little here. So you can get away with quite a lot of lengths and such to get that more oval shape. And again, with fringes and bangs as well, almost anything can really work here. Any sort of style of fringe is going to be okay with a kind of longer face shape. It's all going to help to sort of shorten down that face. If you've got a large forehead, particularly large, like I'm talking this sounds almost cruel, but I mean, it's just objectively looking at yourself. I mean, I've got quite a long chin, so you know that's cool. So if you've got quite a large forehead, like sort of fringes can really help disguise that, and work really well with like longer face shapes generally. Things to avoid, or that aren't going to work so well, or are going to accentuate the longness of your face if that's what you're going for. So add in any sort of height. And I'm a good example of how we can kind of break those rules actually, because the first rule would be you wouldn't really want to be adding height, so you really wouldn't want to be adding like quiffs or hair that comes back. Now I've got quite a long face shape, I've got quite a long jaw, and I've got quite a big forehead, and I comb my hair back. And I think it looks alright. So like you know, that's kind of how you can kind of break those rules. And I think some rules are easier to be bent than others. But yeah, in general, you don't want to be adding height, and you don't really want to be going with centre partings. Go for centre parting, especially with long hair. You're just going to look like Ozzy Osbourne. So that's probably not what you want. Yeah, so that's kind of it for long. Long is very forgiving face shape, and it's a little bit easier. Say any sort of fringes are going to work. Keep it big, keep it textured. If you want to go shorter, try and taper it in around the jawline so that you're kind of keeping the width on the side but keeping it narrow around the jaw. And try and avoid kind of centre partings really, and that's kind of the main kind of key issues for a long face shape. Okay, so now we've kind of gone through the face shapes, and hopefully you've got a bit more of an idea about what they mean in terms of styling your hair, and hopefully you've got more of an idea now going forward of how to choose a cut that's going to suit your face shape, and also, you know, styling your hair in the future as well. Hopefully this gives you a bit more of an idea. It's a bit theory heavy, but hopefully I think it's important to understand these whys of what we do. I think if you get a better grasp of it, rather than I could just bang up a load of images of bobs and mid-length haircuts and say yes, no, yes, no. But I think if you can understand the concept behind it, I think it just puts you in a better position for styling your hair for the entire future, really. So hopefully, we've all kind of grasped the concept of face shapes today. Anyway, if you'd like to see more videos, you can subscribe to my channel. I think we should all do that now. And you can contact me if you want to contact me. I'm very open to talking about hair at any point from anyone. I try and answer comments as soon as I see them. So either bang in a comment or you can contact me. I've got a blog, lemonsodahair.com, and my email address is on there. Welcome to contact me and talk to me about hair on there. I've got Twitter, lemonsodahair. Please subscribe. I've got plenty more videos, hopefully more videos to come. If you've got any suggestions for videos you'd like to see, chuck them in. I'd love suggestions because I just like talking about hair and doing hair as well. So anything you'd like to see, I'll happily make a video about. And cheers, thanks for watching, and I hope it helps.